The second thing is to get support. To get support. Okay. And then the third is embrace growth and career opportunities. Embrace growth and career opportunities. And I'll take one of each one of these very quickly so that we can get the learnings and we can move on. All right. Before we even start about talk about starting small, let's clarify what the benefits of having access to data within organizations is all about. Number one, you want to be able to answer real business problems. Answer and speak to real business problems. You want to hit the bull's eye. You don't want to be doing alignment with the goals of the business. Number two, you want to save costs and you want to save time. I give an example. If you have data to support, for example, that your recruitment sourcing process is the best from a particular source, what do? You jettison every other effort or every other channel and face the one that has the most impact on your work and your business. Okay, but you can't take that kind of decision if you don't have data to support that premise, isn't it? Number three, you want to be a credible business partner. Long gone are the days where HR will come to management or business table and say, I have a gut feeling, okay? Or say, I feel we should do this, or this is what the people are saying. By the people, the HR may just be referring to 3 or 2 or 4 friends, you know, that came forward within a staff workforce of, say, maybe 200, and say, this is what the people, no, the people are not saying that. Where is the proof that the people are saying what you're saying, you see? So you need to be a credible business partner, and that is what that speaks to. Last but not the least is because you want to simplify your communication. So we do a lot of talking, we even over-talk, in my own opinion, where we do not have evidence to support what it is that we're trying to get from business. So data literally makes your communication simple. All right. Again, we see how companies are using business intelligence or workforce analytics to be able to make significant improvements in their businesses. We see here from the Aberdeen Group, which says 14% were able to make improvements in revenue per employee compared to 5% who are not actively using data analytics tools. 3 things I just want to share in terms of the benefits. Number one, you gain insights, isn't it? Number 2, you have foresight in terms of what can possibly happen. And number 3, you are able to make solid decisions for the business. Now, I did say it was important for us to start small. What does it look like to start small? Number 1, know your terminologies. Know your terminologies. Words that are flying all over the place and that we're getting familiar with these days is data analytics. But there's another one, HR analytics. If you're working in the HR space, you see, business has always been familiar with analytics. You have production analytics, marketing and sales, but HR analytics is not yet commonplace. We find some organizations, based off of the knowledge that the HR leaders have, they're able to harness the benefits, but it is not yet full-blown as we have other forms of analytics. Okay, so get familiar with your data. Data analytics, according to the definitions I have here, means the collection of data, the transformation of data, and the organization of data. HR analytics, on the other hand, speaks to people analytics, workforce analytics, okay? It involves gathering data, analyzing and reporting of HR data. So getting to know these fundamentals is quite important. All right. Start small also means that you need to focus on the essentials. Don't do too many things. All right. It can get overwhelming when you want to do a lot of things at the same time. All right. The person you see on the screen here is Emma Corbett from Talent Acquisition. I beg your pardon, Entranter. She's the Director of Talent Acquisition at Entranter. And then she says this because I did find it very profound when she made this statement. She said, once we had data and business insisted on harnessing it for business value, I spent 3 to 4 months with a member of my data team building this elaborate dashboard with time to hire, quality of hire, pipeline metrics, and whatnot. However, when it came to really using this dashboard, I couldn't identify the relevance of this extensive dashboard to the business. I knew what mattered most to the business was growing as a result of the quality of hire. And then she said something that was quite interesting. She said, I ended up demolishing this dashboard, cut out half of the information. I needed to focus on data that mattered the most to my executives. So here, HR friend and HR colleague, data enthusiasts, please focus on the essentials. We get to come into presentations, we attend conferences, and then we see all of these elaborate presentations. No, just focus on your own business areas, the critical areas for your business, and then you grow from there. The whole idea here is about focusing on what matters to business. Generally, across board, business leaders follow the money. They care about the money. They want to gain market share, all right? And they want exposure. So if you can focus on these broad areas, definitely not everything would align from business to business. But if you can always, at the back of your mind, have these 3 broad areas, it will really help in order to shape your orientation and to see what really matters to your particular organization. What you see on the screen here is something I put together from a recent consulting work that I was involved in, and a couple of learnings I want to share based off of that experience, okay? And this really speaks to the whole idea that data is available. Data is actually available, and then we can do little things that impact our work in very significant ways. So this particular business owner wanted for us to do a culture transformation brief, and there were problems within the business. Top of that challenge was attrition, really high attrition within the business, and it was a source of worry for the business owner. It came to a conclusion at some point that it was the culture that was a problem, but then it wasn't enough. We needed to come in as consultants to be able to really unravel what the issues were. Part of what we delved into was compensation data, because there were claims that the employees were exiting the business to a competition within the same state or within Nigeria, So it was a problem. This business owner believed it was doing everything in the books, was doing everything right. And it was such a big problem to find that his employees were gravitating to 1 or 2 competitions in particular. We had access to compensation data to speak to, are you paying well or not? We did interviews. That is a strong source of data. When you're doing interviews, when you're doing your surveys, when you're doing focus groups, you're gathering data, isn't it? So when you're using tools, as well, even the tools that we discountenance, your Google Forms and your survey, your Google survey and all of that, those are tools that you can easily get data from. So we did all of this and then put our findings together. Clearly, there were disengagement issues, but we couldn't say that there were disengagement issues if we didn't have data to corroborate what it was that we were trying to present to the business. All right. So unfortunately, they didn't quite have some critical data that would have helped the process. They had no exit interview data. all right? Some businesses do not really take exit interviews seriously, neither do they do stay interviews. So there was no data to really say why were people exiting the business so badly, all right? Long and short of the story is that the recommendations we made were clearly offshoot of the data that we found within the business, as well as those that we found in public domain in terms of what the competition were doing. Fortunately, the biggest lesson in this whole thing was how the competition knew that this guy, the business owner, was investing so heavily in training his staff. So the competition was poaching ready-made people who had been trained by this particular employer. Anyways, this is just to say to us that data is key. There's no way you want to make a business case without having enough data. Another thing you need to know in terms of starting small is to say, you already have data, you just don't know. You just don't know. Or let me just put it this way, that you are not harnessing or you are not leveraging on all of the data that you have. Many of us have recruitment data. We have performance management data within our organizations, all right? We have compensation and benefits data. We have L&D data, but they are all in different places, and then we are confused because we're not able to pull all of them together in order to make impact on business decisions. So you have data. You have data. As a matter of fact, some of the HRIS systems, information management systems that we have within organizations actually have reporting modules embedded in them. Some of us don't know this, but we should. We should. Speaking to the tools that is in the public domain and we can use, we know them already, but question is, are we learning? Are we using them? Are we researching them? Are we exploring them? Okay. What are we doing? Are we really learning? A couple of times I've been on Mercy's platform, yeah, on LEARNTOR. I've seen her put trainings out on Power BI or reporting with Excel and all of those stuff. I key in, I join the sessions. It makes sense because it's not everything money. It's not everything learning and development or training that you have to pay for. Some of these things are free. Just look in the right direction and you are well on your way, all right? What you see on the screen right now is something that we are getting more familiar with in the HR space. Yeah, we're getting gradually more comfortable with seeing data, the way every other business function sees data. All right, you have your absenteeism rates, you have your gender ratio, basic information, your training costs, employees by department. You have tools that can gather this information and just help you to be that credible business partner. Number two, in terms of, gaining courage and beating the overwhelm, is get support. Get support. There's support. There's support. You can get support. What that means is you do not necessarily have to do everything, at least not from the initial stages, or maybe not even ever, because perhaps you would always need to function within a team, all right? The particular skill set that we need within our organizations when it comes to working with data or analyzing data, number one, data analysts. Number two, data engineers. Number three, data scientists. Number three, the data managers, all right? And number four, I beg your pardon, data managers. So this is not to say you need all of these skills on your team if you've never had them. And I dare say that this also comes with the size of your business. So for many organizations, as you see on the screen, many people will just make do with having a data analyst on the HR team. And I'm saying this so that you as an HR person, next time you're looking to hire somebody for your HR team, don't hire another HR executive, all right? Hire somebody who has competencies in data analysis, data reporting, that person that can add the, the pizzazz, that extra touch to your function in terms of you being able to contribute to business. Unfortunately, many of us on this call, if you're in HR, you know HR has struggled to gain a certain type of reputation that it should have, just because, again, they're not often speaking to evidence. It's almost like all of the time they're speaking to, I hear people say this, there's no evidence of what it is that they're trying to push for. What you see on the screen right now speaks to the competencies that the data team can bring to your HR function, the data analyst, the data scientists, the data engineers, and of course the data manager. I would not want to support that your team brings to the table is to say that, fine, you may be an HR leader right now, and you are not well versed in data reporting or analytics, but 3 things that you must get to know immediately is how to interpret the data. All right, just know how to interpret the data. Then you also need to be able to know how
I think all of them is
this is huge. Being on several engagements, being with a lot of HR people, and they keep saying that business leaders do not listen to them. No, it's not that business leaders don't want to listen to you. It's just that you're not persuasive enough. That's it. You're not persuasive enough. And so these 3 things, we really shouldn't ignore them. Let's focus on them, even on our way to our data analytics expertise. These are things I believe that you should get to know as you progress. Now, last but not the least is the growth thing. I'm all about growth. I'm all about growth. And I'm all about continuous improvement. And I'm all about people intentionally expanding their career opportunities. Just early this year, I released my first Udemy course. Thank you, Fanny. Fanny did mention in the introduction that I'm an Udemy instructor. And yes, it's because I put out my first HR course on Udemy, and it's actually Agile HR. And I did this just to say that we need to come out from traditional HR into a new space. Some of the things we hear from HR professionals I apologize. My internet threw me out.
That's fine. Those are part of the challenges we live in the African
online life. Nothing to be burdened about.
I know, right? All right, just trying to reshare my screen.
No worries. So I think Olofunke is having a few network issues. Let's just give her a few minutes to sort it out. All right. You're back again.
I apologize.
It's okay.
It's okay. It's really okay.
I'm trying to share my screen again. Do you see my screen? Could you please confirm that you see my screen?
It is coming.
So for people that have questions, comments, that can take this time, write down the chat. When Olufuke is set, she can answer to your questions. Thank you.
Please don't hesitate. That's why we have the chat session while she's trying to sort it out and share her screen. Please put as many questions as you can in the chat, and we'll be really, really happy to get her knowledge on whatever information you want to have. So, and Olofunke, it's still showing that you're started sharing, but on my side, I'm not yet able to see. Nadia, are you able to see the
no,
sharing?
not yet. No, not yet. I think it's loading.
Yes.
Okay, so my internet is doing stuff today, but we'll move. I'm trying to share my screen again. Hopefully you see my screen now.
Yeah. Yes.
All right, I do apologize. All right, let's move on very quickly. Yes, I was sharing certain components from the HR course I told you about. I just want to share certain things along the lines of growth and being able to really be agile as far as the HR function is concerned. Don't forget, we're talking about the third phase, where I'm recommending that you should really focus on the idea of growth and career opportunities when you think about data analytics. Don't think about it in terms of, oh, what is this extra burden? What is this extra stress that the business is expecting of me, or the HR professionals are expecting of? I mean, it can get overwhelming, can't it? All right, but this is the whole idea. Number one, focus on adaptability, flexibility, and responsiveness. You want to be sure that you're updating your knowledge. And in this particular instance, it is with respect to data analytics. Trust me, I know what it means to be in this type of an environment. I'm speaking to Nigeria now, and I can imagine other countries within the continent have their own peculiar challenges, but we're going through a lot. Ask anybody, they will tell you that Nigeria is going through a lot. So we are going through all of what we're going through. There's power issues, there's fuel issues, there's inflation issues, all sorts of issues. The last thing you want to think about is really another layer upon layer of learning new skills, but it is what it is. You know, if you really want to harness or access the opportunities that exist, growth, you really would have to find time and make that priority. All right. When we speak about agile methodologies, trust me, it has application even within HR. When you're talking about your HR initiatives, how do you manage the projects? Okay, how do you navigate the whole idea of change when you're trying to introduce new initiatives within the business? And last but not the least, it's about being future focused. You cannot be in 2023 and not be future minded. You're always on the lookout for what's the next thing before it happens. So you're not caught napping. Yeah. So business HR people really should be interested in the business models that the businesses are operating or getting to explore. Let us not always be the professional, the leader that is taking the back seat. And it's only when we want to talk about people-related issues that they see us. Yeah. So being able to increase knowledge, expand on your skills, are quite very important.
Sorry, we're gonna stop to
Also,
mute that.
Also is the need for you to be actively scanning the environment, and that speaks to curiosity. It speaks to your ability to be able to observe and to be able to investigate. There are some things that has happened within the polity where we find that HR people do not even have a clue, but you should. So the focus really should be actively around scanning the environment and knowing how to be adaptive as far as that is concerned. Continuous improvement is key. Again, being able to keep tabs on your data. The number 2 advice I did give had to do with support. You may not be that person that is analyzing the data, that is, doing all of the analytics, but you should be able to keep tabs on your data and to be able to see what the trends are. What is your data telling you? All right. So more than ever before, we see how learning is key, is a game changer, and you really have to focus on increasing competency. This is what this third layer is about, increasing your competency. Why do you want to do that? Because you want to make business case. For example, you come to business and you say you want to increase your HR budget. The next question is why? Why? You can come to business and say, oh yeah, we need to have a hybrid work policy. Why? The fact that business A, C, and E are doing hybrid doesn't mean you should do hybrid. Fine, we know that it is fancy for some businesses, and for some it is actually expedient. But for your business, why? You should be able to answer that question. If you're able to present your data, all the better. Okay, so making the business case clearly important. And then again, it's about asking the right questions, being able to paint scenarios to business and say, hey, this is what the data speaks to. And if we do not make the changes and decide appropriately, what happens inadvertently is that so and so and so will be the outcome. I find this other example really, really fascinating. I just have to share it with you guys. This particular one shared by a colleague on a call, quite insightful. Insightful? Okay, English. All right. So the case here really was how this business leader needed to introduce an internship model into the business. They've never had this. They've never done this before, but they really, this was something that the business leader, HR leader, really was looking to have the business do. How did we succeed in pushing for this initiative? Well, all of a sudden, there was this realization that there were back-to-back notices of employees saying they couldn't make it to work, they've been sick, and it was really a lot. People were taking leave for just to take care of themselves. What did this executive do, this HR leader? He had to go to the HMO to really unravel what really was the crux of the health issues. Long and short of the story was that he got data from the HMO, and very useful data that really spoke to the fact that most of the illnesses were stress-induced, you see. And so it really sort of connected to how there was a transformation in the business, and for some reason, of course, they had to cut staff, and what came with that was how people were, now had multiple jobs to take, to share with less employees. That really brought a humongous degree of stress on the workforce. And so, yeah, once they decided to introduce that internship model, the internship model was speaking to the issue of interns coming in to take on those mundane administrative tasks that other executives are taking on, and that was causing them so much stress. So you see how data and business decisions, and ultimately, just being able to add value overall. Another thing in terms of being able to grow your career competencies along these lines is just looking around. You find that some roles within HR, for example, they will insist on knowledge of analytics. Have you seen that? If you've seen that, I'd like to see it in the chat box. If you're in HR, you see requirements for certain roles, say HR analytics, knowledge or competencies is required, because we are in that data space, aren't we? All right. So 3 things that would really help us: data analysis, metrics, and data analytics. You need to get to understand these things. I will not really delve on them. Data analysis is really all about defining your question, collecting your data, cleaning your data, analyzing your data, and of course, being able to visualize your data. We've already spoken to how you can get support if you are not there yet. All right. Metrics helps you to really know what's going on within your business. You need to be able to understand what metrics are. You must have heard terminologies like time to hire, cost per hire, and stuff like that. Those are all metrics. What you see on the screen is from AIHR. I don't know if you know about this particular organization, but they're huge in the data analytics space. If you go to their website, absolutely, you can get enough metrics within the HR space, things that you can measure. All right, that is what metrics are. Performance that you can measure, HR performance that you can measure. Again, they have 51 HR metrics on that platform as well. Please go on there at your convenience and just try to explore and get exposed. Familiarize yourself with some of the metrics that are on there. What you also have on the screen right now really is speaking to very important metrics. So not just any metric, but metrics that make the most impact to the business. For example, absence rate is just a metric. What do you want to do with absence rate? All right. But if you say absence rate per manager or per department, is speaking to more specific issues. For example, is the absence due to the fact that the leader is a toxic leader? You see the difference there. So you're not just measuring absence rate. You're like narrowing down to the particular department that has the highest absence rate, for example. All of these things, data is able to unravel for you. What you see on the screen right now, the most popular HR metrics that people within the HR space get to learn, they get to track: critical talents, recruitment, productivity, compensation, and performance management. Again, no need to go through this one after the other, but I encourage you, if you get the recording of this video, please try to take a dive into it. What you see on the screen is what my colleagues are largely afraid of, the mathematical part of analytics, yeah? But then again, don't do it alone. Get support. There are people who know these things, and once you're with them a year or even less, you can get a hang of it. Okay, Excel is a tool that does all of this. If you need a tool, Excel does this absolutely well. All right, so you don't need to be an expert just like that. You can grow. You can grow. I'm just sharing this with you just to share. Again, you can see that as well on the AIHR platform. Then, of course, we've spoken so extensively about analytics. Just the 4 things you need to know about analytics is that it can be descriptive, it can be diagnostic, it can be predictive, and it can be prescriptive. All right? It will give you hindsight, it will give you insight, and it will give you foresight. All right? What you see on the screen right now is really what benefit you can derive. Don't get caught up in the reporting of it. I just want to share 1 or 2 things in terms of metrics that you can also begin to focus on at your business. Tomorrow, even, total employees, attrition levels, active employees, attrition rate, average age, education-wise attrition, attrition by age group, attrition by job role, attrition by marital status. if you have a business, for example, and you find that a certain gender are exiting the business more than another gender, that could be a source of data for you, and that you may want to investigate. Is it the women that are leaving? Why are they leaving? What are the ages of these women that are leaving? You're just not going to allow talents to go without you unraveling what the issues are, is what I'm trying to say here. So data clearly is important. Okay. All right. I will just want to round off this session by just sharing Novartis. Novartis, very massive global brand. Just leveraging data, they were able to boost engagement whilst having a change transformation. What did they do? They were able to explore 30,000 plus data, just from their associates, okay? And they were able to get to the crux that the attrition that they were having was not induced by the transformation process in itself. Just helping the overall rationale for some of the decisions that we make. If there's an attrition within the business, data will tell you why, unravel the reason why. Is it because people are not exposed to career opportunities? Is it because their environment is not conducive enough to work with? Is it because there's a lot of stress within the business due to work-life integration issues? Is it because they're not well paid? It can be anything, but data helps you to unravel what the issues are. If there is a high attrition within the business, and a business owner can say, "Oh, what the hell? Anybody can leave the system. We can always find a replacement." No, the HR leader is going to point the attention of the business owner, okay, to the cost impact, the cost implications of having to recruit on a daily. Some people don't know that the cost to recruit consistently or just haphazardly. You should be able to speak to that with data as well. All right, why are people leaving? Are you able to rally around and galvanize the reason why people are leaving the business? Today, we talk about JAPA within the Nigerian context, yeah? But sometimes it's easier for HR people to hide under the premise that the country is really inconvenient and it's the reason why people are leaving. But your particular business, have you found out why people are, exiting your business? You should be able to speak to that in terms of gathering data. What you see on the screen is speaking to training data and, just stuff that we can get to learn as we go. So there are a number of issues. I won't take everything, but I'll just take one or two in terms of issues surrounding data and why people are still so skirmish around it. Okay. The thing is, people want to focus on the low-hanging fruit, but after some time, it will make for more business sense if you're looking at real critical issues as opposed to, okay, number of attrition, gender, and all of that type of information. You want to not just focus on low-hanging fruit. As you grow, you want to expand your capability and answer bigger business questions. Just to round this off, I would say a couple of things. When you gather data, are you really using it for change that is tangible? Or is it a case of you have all of the tools in place, you have all of the skills in place, but you can't really make any use of any of this? So you want to be sure that you are actively using your data for real change within the system. Don't be that person, excuse me, that your workforce will say to you, "Oh, they do this all the time. It's just, it's just all of so much noise, no action." Be that person that makes real change because of the data that you have at your disposal. Focus on quick wins, all right? Don't spend 4 years, trying to do people analytics and people are not seeing any results. Focus on quick wins. And last but not the least, make sure that you are tracking your results. And it's because you have results that you're able to say to business, this works, this makes sense, and this is adding real value to the business. I thank you for listening and for being here on the call. I do hope you've been able to take one or two things away that will make an impact in your in your work tomorrow. Fanny, thank you. I just want to hand over to you. If there are any questions, we'll take them if there's time.
Yes, thank you. I've seen that Lisa said she had a question. Do you want to unmute and ask your question? I would just say that we just have a few minutes, so it might be the only question we will have, and then we'll have to move to our next session. So Lisa, if you're still there and you want to unmute to share your question, we'll take just one, and then we'll be able to move on. Okay. No. Then it's fine. Thank you,
Chiamaka. Amazing. I see your response on the.
Thank you all for your participation. Thank you all for being there and having this knowledge sharing. Like I told you, we are so grateful to have Olofunke sharing so big nuggets with us today. Hopefully you'll be able to see these on replay on LinkedIn, and you'll be able to see it also on YouTube. So thank you very much. In a few minutes, the next session will start. Thank you, Olofunke. Really, thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
No worries.
Well done. Well done to the team. It's amazing what you're doing here. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So for the other people who wants to join the next session, our next session is with Ashutosh. Sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong. I'm really, really sorry for this pronunciation. It will start in a few minutes. You also have another session that's happening at the same time on the other Zoom. That is with Ashley Fing. So please don't hesitate to move from one place to another to be able to follow up what we are doing today. So please don't hesitate to go on the team. We are going to take a few minutes to move from one stage to another one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I love it.
Amazing, Nadia.